getting a real job, like a job, which is what most people do, and it is perfectly exactly fine. There are a lot of people out there who will serve in their job, and they go there because they want money, and then they move on, and life happens outside the job. Yes, they serve in the job, and hopefully they like it. But for them, digging the ditch or building the cabinets or clearing out, fitting the pipes or doing whatever isn't what they feel like they're doing. That's something they know how to do. It's something they're good at, something they get paid for. But their joy and their purpose and their stuff happens outside. They teach, or they coach, or they do art, or they sing, or they do missions work, or they go on vacation places and discover and have conversations with people around the world. Like that's what they do. And the job is just a thing that like allows them to do it. And that is perfectly fine. Not everybody can live having a job that is like, exactly the thing that is gonna, some kind of weird ministry thing. Nor should they. Most people in this world are going to be taking a job that is a job because they want the job. That's the way it is. It's there you go, the vehicle. Yeah, it's the way that you get to the thing that you believe God created you to be and God wanted you to do. That is, yes. But some people get to do both. So there's one that I don't live to work. I don't work to live. I don't live to work. I work to live. And then there's people who get both, right? I get to be in the professional sphere. I get to be, it's not a ministry role. It's not a, hey, Supersonic. It's not a ministry role. It's not a mission post. It's not whatever. What it is, it's a job. But it's something that when they do it, it flourishes, right? They started their own company, or they do something that helps in a unique way, or when they do it, like they just are especially effective at it. Like God seems to be working through what they do, whether it be through what they build or through what they manage or through how they help or through their administrative or whatever it is. I'm built to do this. And when I do it, even for the company, this is where I'm supposed to be. Some people get to do that. And other people are called into sort of like lifetime servant roles. I won't even call it ministry roles so much as, because that sounds like church. Because you could be, a teacher, or you can be a doctor, like overseas, specifically making less money in a weird place, just so that you can serve people who don't usually have, healthcare kind of thing. Like, I want to be a doctor, but I don't want to be a doctor here. I want to be a doctor on mission over there kind of thing. And some people are called to that. It's important when you're thinking through who you're going to be and what you're going to be and what you're going to be doing, that you ask the question, what did God create me to be? Where does he want me to serve? And which of those three kind of am I? Is it, like I'm working to live and life happens after that? Thank you for the hype train. Very appreciated. I work to live and the hype train, I work to live and life happens after. Or, I get to do both, right? I get to do both. When I work, I feel like I'm in my calling, and I do it, for everybody. I do it in service to people, and it's good. Or I'm called to do something special, unique, different, missionary, evangelist, doctor somewhere, fly planes in and out of some place, like just some kind of, I need to do something weird and different and dangerous and stuff. Like, which is it? So how do you find that? Yesterday, and this is coming, like, this is real stuff, because, if Angie is saying I find my call confusing, this is why I made this series. This is why I wrote the book. This is why I teach this every single year, 5 times a year, if I can. This is what we're doing. Hey, Chrono. Because when people don't get this, and nothing else makes sense. Nothing makes sense. Because you want to know why God put you on earth, okay? So I want you to listen again to what I said yesterday. I'm not going to give the full talk, but I'm going to give the brief version, because you need to hear it. So if you want to know your purpose, it is going to start with you seeing a need around you, okay? More important to be a follower of Christ than to be a specific mission field. If you get that right, God can use you wherever you are. Yes, what we're talking, I'm assuming you're a Christian, okay? I'm going to start with you. I already get that. You're already a Christian. You already care about what God thinks. You just don't know what you're supposed to be doing with yourself, okay? let's start with that. So when you're looking for who you're supposed to be, it's going to start with a need, something in your heart. As you're serving, as you're going to small group, as you're doing Sunday school, as you're teaching, as you're running around, as you're serving in the nursery, as you're out, hanging out and doing things, whatever it is, like you're serving others anywhere, not just church, but anywhere, soup kitchen or clothing, or running like the dollars, thing where the people come in and they give donations, like whatever. You're in the middle of doing that. You will bump into somebody. You'll bump into somebody, or you'll bump into a situation that tweaks you in a special way. Something happens. Okay. Something happens. And you're like, that hit me harder than other problems do, or other situations do. Like, for example, when I was being called into ministry, like, what kind of pastor do I want to be? What kind of, like, what do I want to emphasize in my pastorate for my life? And so some people will be very good at like counseling. Like, for them, they just love counseling people, and for, they'll go and they'll be huggy, and they'll be, be able to go and they'll weep with people, right? And there's people who are good at end of life care, right? Pastors who will be with people who are dying, people who are really, really sick, they're going to be pastors who are really good at visitation, and they just love being at your house, and they love running around and like helping people mow their lawn and do their dishes, and visiting and seeing people. Like me, as I processed what kind of pastor I'm going to be, my pastors in prison is a good one. I want to be someone who can answer people's questions. That's it. That's my thing. I studied the snot out of everything I could, read all the books I could possibly find, and wanted to be able to, if anybody came in, talked to me, and was like, hey, I have a question, I could give them an answer. That was what I wanted. It meant a lot of the stuff that was more pastory, right, as in like the visitation stuff, was harder for me. It meant that me going to hospitals, or me going to on mission work, like all that kind of stuff was harder, didn't come naturally, was really, really stressful. But the part that when I was in my wheelhouse, I was studying, I was reading, I was teaching, I was counseling, I was answering questions, I was in a zone. That was where I was at. That's the kind of pastor God called me to be, and that's how I ministered. The need I saw was how much ignorance there was in the church and otherwise and everywhere else, for how people just don't know the Bible. They don't know themselves. They don't, common sense isn't as common anymore. Many of them are stuck. They're stuck on something. Piece of knowledge, activity, habit, fear, something is keeping them from progressing. And I want to be the guy who helps them get past whatever that is, so they can keep going. I don't need to be in the part of their life forever, but I can help you get past that one thing. That's what I want to do. That's the need I saw. Say, this is what happened when we launched Taco, right? Saw a need, bunch of people who didn't know what they were doing, who were stuck, who were disconnected. I want to be there and help them and let them keep moving. That's been what I've been doing for forever and ever. I saw a need, right? I saw a need. So my question, whenever you start this whole process, is, what need do you see? Right? What need do you see? I'm gonna read. Angie said, my faith is definitely important because after all my experiences, I have negatively impacted me, traumatized me. That's what gets me confusing. That's what I'm called to do. Just basically go with the flow regarding the days God put in my life, and try not to worry so much about spiraling about my life. Does that make sense? It kind of does, but also that sounds really anxious. That's like a recipe for anxiety, if you ask me. Funky says, my core function is helping people. I do the work. I do that for work, but God has also used it to minister to people. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, right? Sometimes it's both. So you find that need. What is the need? What is hitting you hard? What is making you feel that this is something that needs to change in the world? Hello, Bearded Cheese. Good. Welcome to the stream. Glad you're here, man. Met Bearded Cheese yesterday. Got a great voice. Got a great stream. Was doing has a heart for ministry, a heart for mission work, heart for streamers and content creators. Bearded Cheese seems like a pretty cool guy. So give him a follow. Yeah, glad you're here. So you discover that need, it hits your heart, and you're like, that's something I want to do. It sparks a passion within you. Not only does it bother you, or it's something that you want to change, or you want to see, or it troubles you, or you want to fix, whatever that is. Could be, singles, could be loneliness, could be sickness, could be, war, could be anything, could, poverty. And it hits you like, I need to fix that. I need to fix that problem. And it sparks that passion within you. That passion makes you do something. It leads you to do something. Before you connected with that, you really weren't, you were kind of doing things. Exactly what Angie said. I kind of go through life flowing regarding what God puts in front of me. I try not to worry too much. I'm just trying not to freak out. No spiraling. That's what I'm trying to do. But then you come across that need and you're like, dang, I care about that. I want to do something about that. And you act in response to that need. Then that action, as you do that, moves you into relationships with others who want to fix that problem or do that, right? You're like, wow, I know people who live in the suburbs who have a heart for inner city, and so they're like, we drive an hour to the inner city so that we can, because that's where our heart's at, and then they move there, or they plant a church there, and they that's where they serve because that's where their heart is. It's harder on them, but that's where they want to be. Same people pick up and move to another country. Some people, they give up the big job because they're like, I don't want to, it's not a bad thing to do what I'm doing, but I want to give my heart to this problem, like children in Ukraine or single dads or, whatever. That's who I'm going to go serve. And then they find people to serve with. That was yesterday's talk. Everything starts with the need that God has placed on your heart. And we all have similar but different ones, right? Like God says, serve everyone, love everyone, care for everyone, be hospitable, be kind, be loving, be generous, be gentle, like to everybody, all people. But then he puts in our heart some unique thing that you want to be involved in. And he does that for other people. And then we get together with those people. And all those people together go and try to help solve the problem. And within that group, usually there's different gifting. There's the administrative person and the leadership person and the relationship person and the money person and the, they got all that, right? You did that. Okay, there you go. DSW's on board. Yeah, all right, cool. Today, so that leads to today's talk, which is, I'm gonna put a marker in. I need a button. That leads to today's talk, which is, I bet it was wild. Yeah. Which is, where are we at? Okay, hold on. Yeah. Now that you've seen the need, what can I do about it? Okay. There are a lot of people who see the need, they're passionate about it, they move forward, they find a bunch of people, and then they're like, okay, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know what I want to do. I want to fix the problem. I want to fix the problem, which is where it's important for you to know your gift or your talent. The Bible tells, we can use the word talent. In other words, the thing that you bring to the table that you are extra good at, or when you do it, it's extra effective, or when people affirm in you and they see in you, and it's something that when you do it, it's better. Right? It's better. Whether that be when you have conversations with people, or when you organize the money, or when you tell people what to do and where to go, or when you pray, right? Or, when, like, for you, like, things change when you pray, that kind of stuff. Like, it's what you bring to the table. You can't fix every problem in the world, but you do want to do that one need. And so therefore that gift that you have, right? The gift that you have is one that is going to connect to that group that you were part of. The Bible in 1 Peter 4 says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms, right? Use the gift, use whatever it is. The Bible gave Jesus gave the parable of the talents, which was, like, everybody gets a different amount. Everybody gets, a different level of, some people have a lot more responsibility because they have a lot more talent. Some people have less, but they have something. And your job isn't to, blow the doors off. Your job is to just use it as best you can. We were kind of thinking through this from the perspective of judges. That's kind of where the content came from. That's what's in the book. And you think through the different talents that you see there, right? You have Samson, right? Samson he has this supernatural strength. When he uses his muscles, when he uses his power, he can do things nobody else can, right? Deborah is an example. She didn't have superpower. She was an old lady. But when she sat and she listened and she spoke and she taught and she sat by the tree there, people came to her. She had a brilliance in strategy, right? She was able to tell what's his name there, the leader of the army, like, this is what we need to do, that we need to, here's how to do it. Had wisdom, was arbitrating problems. Like, she wasn't strong, but she was smart, right? They came to her for advice. Gideon and Jephthah, they weren't born leaders, but they developed skills, they developed the ability, they prayed hard, they listened to God, and that allowed them to develop into better military leaders. Like, people have different gifts, whether it be stuff that comes naturally or stuff that they've learned. What's yours? That's the question. What's yours? For me, I've got, I'm good at a lot of stuff, I would say, because I like learning, and that comes part and parcel. Like I said, I like learning. Gift of knowledge is kind of my thing. I like knowing stuff. I will get distracted simply because I don't like not knowing how to do that, or I wonder if I could do that. How can I do this? Like, there have been plenty of times I've spent 8, 9, 10 hours in a day just down here doing something just to see if I could. Like, for example, I created an AI program that was able to interact with chat and ask questions and generate its own, stuff. So it was always fresh and used random. Like, it was a challenge, but I wanted to know if I could do it. I love that stuff. Knowledge, doing that. That's what I do. And it led to me be able to do things. Right? I can play the guitar, and I can also write a book, and I can also preach or teach, and I can also like organize OBS, and I can just do stuff. Not because I'm super smart. Hey, McRae, welcome. But because, which I think I am smart, but it's because I just like learning. God gave me the gift to be able to learn stuff. Okay. Let me pause and just kind of ask chat and say to chat, hey, do you know your gift, whether it be your spiritual gift? It's right from God that, isn't something that necessarily is natural. It's just something when you do, supernatural things happen. A natural talent, whether it be something like music or some other kind of ability, or like just being able to be strategic or administrative, or like just a thing that you're good at, or an acquired skill, something that you maybe weren't born with, but you just figured out, like, you're just good at it because you put a bunch of work into it. Do you know your gift? Do you know your gift? Where'd my copy go? There it is. I guess a cool streamer would be like, if you know your gift, put a 1 in chat. If you're not sure, put a 0. How about that? If you know your gift, put a 1. If you're not sure, put a 0. How about that? Let's try that. Okay. Hey, Jedi. But I'm never sure. That's more of a me thing. Hey, Jen. 1, some zeros, some ones. Okay, excellent. That's pretty much average for the case. Like, a lot of people are, if I knew better, like, I don't feel like I'm exactly where God wants me to be, and it, gives me itchy feet, but at the same time, I'm not totally sure how to discover who that is. That's why we talked about that big talk yesterday. This is how to discover where you're supposed to go to discover the gift, right? Funky says, I'm generally known for musical talent, but that's a skill, not a gift. Yep. My gift is in helping and encouraging people. See, that is a great example of natural versus spiritual talent, right? Natural talent of I can do music stuff, but when I help and encourage people, God uses that in a unique way, right? Yeah, for sure. That's cool. You got some binary going on. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Let's, how do we, let me tell you then how you can discover your gift. Okay. Let's talk about what your gifting is. Let's see if I can let me see if I can do this quickly. Because yeah, it's all right. Stop helping Adobe, man. Okay, so your gift. Here, listen. If the question is, how do I know what is a gift and how do I know which, what it is? Let me give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words that will help you to determine. Okay. Everything it could be, but my church volunteers have said I am good at devotions we do weekly. Hey, see that? When you teach, it is a little bit more. It's better, right? It's better. It just seems to roll off better. I understand better. Exactly. Okay, so look for a place where you are most. The first word is intuitive. Intuitive. Okay. In other words, when you do it, you don't have to. It's not a huge struggle, right? A gift or a talent that you have, something that God has put inside of you, spiritual or natural or otherwise, is something that is more intuitive for you. The opposite would be like it doesn't come naturally. It actually is really hard. You have to. It takes way too long. Other people do it more quickly. You don't like doing it. It is something that you're like, man, I got to think through so much just to get this done. Whereas if it is a talent, if it is something that God has put inside of you, you're generally more intuitive. In other words, when things happen, you kind of naturally know how to react to it. In music is a good example. Like if you've ever played in a band and you're playing with folks and all of a sudden something happens. There are some people who like say that, all of a sudden they're playing in the wrong key or the drummer slips up and goes into something different or, whatever. The singer starts at the wrong time or the bass player's doing something wrong. Like someone who is not intuitive is going to get thrown off. They'll be like, what are we doing? Stop. What happened? That's not what my music says, right? And that's non-intuitive. They might be talented, but it's not intuitive. Someone who it comes intuitive will be like, oh, that's cool. And then they just change. They grab their guitar, they grab their piano, they move things over, and they're like, oh, yeah, okay, we'll just do it like that. And they're able to kind of intuit the change. Same thing with teaching, right? Some people will be looking at a book, and the book will be like, this is what I have to say, and this is what I have to do, and this is the order I'm going to be coming in, and I'm going to stand here and I'm going to read it to you. These are the folks who look at the PowerPoint, and they're like, this is what the PowerPoint says, and the PowerPoint is going to tell you exactly what I'm saying, and they don't go off of it, right? They could be a good teacher that conveys knowledge, right? But they are not, there you go, getting into it. There you go. But someone who isn't more intuitive teaching will be able to kind of riff, will be able to come up with explanations on the fly or examples on the fly. They'll be able to look at the student and kind of go, hey, you seem to be like, you're not getting this. What's going on there, right? Like they will, so it'll just become easier. It becomes easier for them. It's not easy, but it's more along the lines of like things flow better. Okay, that's the first one. Your gift will be something that is intuitive. Intuitive. We got 5 other words. Okay. One of my favorite history professors would walk into class, no notes, and just talk passionately about history for an hour. Exactly. There you go. That's intuitive teaching. Yeah, exactly. Reborn? Is that RH Reborn? This is was I on your server before? If I get my account hacked, but I got it back and added some keys on it and changed the password. I don't remember. Honestly, I Things are so weird in my life right now. I don't know what discords I'm on. So I'm the wrong guy to ask. Exclamation point Discord if you want to join it. Jen says, what if you're good at something but your mental health is so bad you can't really do whatever it is? So that's different, right? So that's like it. I still think, okay, hold on, how am I gonna do that? With me, I've had some pretty bad mental health times, but when I slide into that role, if I can, you muster up enough whatever just to do it, it still works. Maybe not as good. Maybe you're a little off. Maybe you're not as prepped, or you're not as whatever. But when you slide into doing that, it is easier. Like, for example, if your gift or whatever is teaching, and you're not prepped and things go wrong, you're not feeling very good, you can still kind of walk in and do some stuff. You kind of do it off the cuff, and you know some things, and you kind of, you can generally make an okay thing. Will it be the best thing ever? No. But it will be something that, there you go, treasure in jars of clay. Yeah, we're all messed up in some way. But if it's non-intuitive, you don't have the ability to muster. You just don't have the ability to bring it in there, man. You're just like, I just can't. Whereas if someone's like, hey, can you lead this group? Can you, bake a thing? Can you please tell me, give me some advice or whatever? You can be like, yeah, all right. What? What do you want? I'll give it to you, but it's gonna be brief, and that's what but you couldn't muster it otherwise. Honestly, that's what I think. I think, is it great? No. So that's word one, intuitive. No, word two is satisfied. Satisfied. When you are working within in your area of talent, when you are doing it and when you're done it, you feel a sense of satisfaction, right? You feel a sense of, man, that was good. That was helpful. That was important. That was fun. I'm so glad we did that. I'm so glad I did that. Whether it be you went to a group and you helped out, you taught a class, you led a group, you did the administrative work, you organized the chairs, you cleaned the room, like, what, I don't know, whatever. But after you're done, you're like, man, that was pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm glad I did that. And you're able to sit back and go, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. The opposite of which would be dissatisfaction, right? It's where you have this sense of either perfectionism, where you're like, it's never good enough, and man, I struggle so hard, and I don't know if this is right. This is me every time I use Canva, okay? I am not naturally artistically gifted. It is a struggle. That's why I've changed my thumbnails 50 times. That's why I never know what to do with my overlays. I'm not naturally artistic. And so therefore, I'm never, ever, ever satisfied with how anything looks. Because I'm like, it's all wrong. Like, everything's wrong. It's always wrong. And it drives me nuts. The people that you serve with it, right? The sense of satisfaction is, yeah, I did a good job for them. I feel a sense that I can release that, or it's nice. It's not a super struggle. It's not something that you are wow, I forgot 20 things. I just, it's so much to hold in my brain that I can't think of what I'm supposed to do. And I just don't know, like somebody who is not good at cleaning, they'll clean and clean and clean. And they look around and be like, it's still dirty. I don't know. What did I do wrong? Or organizing. They're bad at organizing. They're like, I tried to, but everything still looks, so messed up. It's like, it doesn't work, man. It's just not satisfying. It's not good. But when you're in your wheelhouse and it is your talent and you're doing it afterwards, like I think back to the music thing, right? After you're done, even if it didn't go great, even if like things were, you didn't hit every note properly or you didn't sing quite properly, you're able to kind of go, man, I'm so glad I did that. I love playing music. I love being part of the band. I love hanging out. That was so much fun. But if it doesn't come natural and you're part of that, band, you will beat yourself up all night long. You'd be like, that was terrible. And it's just, I can't believe it. And, like I should just quit the band. Like it doesn't feel good. Um, literally me trying to go to college, never satisfied with my grades. Yeah. Right? And that's totally valid, right? It's just like, man, it's just not, it's not easy. Whereas for me, this is going to sound bad. I don't mean to brag, but like I didn't study a day in my life until I was like second year of my master's degree. I didn't have to. I didn't have to read the books. I didn't have to I didn't have homework for all of high school because I just did it. I knew what I was doing. I would, to my family's chagrin, they required me to get a 65 in a class that was like passing grade. Like you have to get that because that's what the minimum requirement is to get into the college. I got a 65. I would write a test and I would stop at 65% and not do the rest of the test because I knew it was all right. Because I'm lazy. Man, yeah. I would yell at my kid for doing that. My parents are like, "Did you pass the test?" Yeah. So they were happy. So, but like for me, school is easy. And I believe that you can be good at school without necessarily being super smart. There's a rhythm to school and there's a rhythm to tests. And there's a way that, like, if you handed me a test on something that I've never heard of before, I'd probably be able to get 50% just because of how tests are written, you know, just how it is. So for me, it was intuitive. For some people, it's not. You feel that for organizing. Okay, there you go. Clear the house. That's funny. Satisfied. Okay, that's what. It'll be most intuitive and it'll be satisfying. Third word is this. Productive. I was taking animal anatomy and beginning Spanish. I had to force myself to study. Didn't have to. Except Greek, dude. No. Greek kicked my butt. That was so hard. No, language is not natural to me, and it takes so much work. And I remember my professor was like, okay, listen, make sure you keep using your flashcards even over the break. If you stop for a day, it'll all leak out of your brain. And so I rewarded myself over Thanksgiving with not having to go through my notes. And I got back on Monday or Tuesday, and I'm like, I don't remember anything. I don't remember a single thing. I barely passed that class. Barely. But when I did try, finally, in my, second year of my master's degree, or third year? When did I start really trying? Third year? I got straight A's. Because, is that me bragging? Yeah, a little bit. But anyway, so the next word is productive. When you are working within your talent, when you are working within that thing that God created you to be, you're more productive, right? If you say you're a widget builder, you're building widgets. If it doesn't come naturally and it isn't your talent, you don't have a good ability to be able to do it. It's not something that comes naturally. It's not intuitive. You're never satisfied. You're not going to be very productive. You won't create very many widgets, right? It'll just be harder. You won't be able to produce. Like, say someone is a hymn. I think of the hymn writers. Some of these hymn writers that it was so intuitive. They were so good at it that they wrote 20,000 hymns. Like Fanny. How many did Fanny Crosby write? How many hymns did Fanny Crosby write? 9,000. Okay. For her, that was intuitive. Okay. Like she was productive because it came natural, right? When you were working in your area of talent, you are going to be productive. There'll be lots that happen. If you're music stuff, you'll be inclined to practice. It's not over 9,000. No, be careful. We got to be careful with that. No, it's definitely not. That would be crazy. I'm trying to think of another example of being productive, right? Do you get what I mean though? Like if you're like when you go there and you work for an hour, you get more done than somebody gets done in a day, right? When you are working on the project or working with people or calling folks or selling, or evangelizing or anything, you do more of it, right? You come back and everybody's reporting and they're like, I did 3, I did 2, none of it happened. And you're like, I did 28, right? And you thought that was what everybody was going to say because that's just, that's how it worked. For you, it was your talent, it was your gift, and therefore you were able to do it more. And I think of thousands of secular songs. Oh, there you go. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, all right. That was just the hymns. Yeah, so there we go. Not that they were all bangers, but hey, if you write that many, some of them are going to be pretty good. Okay, productive. Yeah, more productive. Like for me, I can get a lot done if left to myself to do things in my wheelhouse, as anybody can. But if it's not, like for example, I can write and write and just do a lot of, but just create a bunch of stuff like that. But if you hand me Canva and you're like, make a thumbnail, 6 hours, and it still sucks, right? I can't do it. Whereas some people who are artistic, they could whip up 100 thumbnails in the time it takes me to make one bad one. There you go, Fanny. All right, cool. Hello, Angie. We are working through what you can eat breakfast with your laptop. Come on. Anyway, yeah. We're talking about how you know what your gifting is. We just talked about it is intuitive. It's intuitive, and you will feel satisfied while doing it, and while you do it, you are more productive. So go back and watch. I encourage you to go back and watch what we just talked about. The next word is natural, right? It comes naturally to you, okay? Naturally to you. This is where music is always the easiest one, where you say to somebody who has musical skills and you're like, okay, what did you just do there? And like, I don't know. I just played it because it sounded right. I just thought that sounded good. And you're like, well, that was amazing. Do it again. I don't know what I did. It just sounded good. Let me try again. And you get something else amazing that happens again, right? That's what so many stories of so many of the great bands are, right? So we did this and we tried this, like 10,000 Reasons is a great example. We're like, well, we need another song. And he's like, okay, writes a song, creates, took 10 minutes to write, 5 minutes to record, and became, 10,000 Reasons. Like it was that kind, it just comes naturally. It's not hard. You don't have to train too hard. Yeah, but exactly, musical, and that's perfectly valid, right? Perfectly valid. Is that it just really kind of easy. The opposite of which would be it is unnatural for you. It is a struggle. It uses everything in you. You're exhausted when you're done or get halfway through. You need way more resources. You need to have more help. You need, you're using everything from AI to Wikipedia to in the encyclopedia. Like everything's open. And you're just like, I'm trying to do this thing, and it's just not natural. It's just not something that is instinctual. And then you look at somebody who it does come instinctually to, naturally to, and they're just, they're literally vibing. Like that was me with school. It drove my friend nuts. He would study all night long, hard as he could. And I would come in having studied not at all. And I would get the same or better grade than him. And he'd be like, well, what were you doing last night? I'm like, I was watching Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan, until I went to sleep. And he's like, I was studying for 3.5 hours. That's not fair. Like, what are you going to do? Right? So for me, it came naturally. For him, it didn't. Okay. The next word is the word comfortable. All right. Angie says, though digital art can be a mix, I can't think outside the box when it comes to poses and backgrounds, but when I see an idea, I implement them into my drawing. but the coloring and shading comes naturally, I believe. So, yeah, there's some people who are really good at the shading because the light part comes naturally to them, but they're not good at shapes. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Comfortable. This is sort of the same as natural, same as intuitive. It's very similar in that while you're doing it, you don't feel discomfort. Like you're not sweating your way through it. You're not. You don't have a headache after you're done, right? It's not like you don't feel sore. You don't feel you're not. Like when you're teaching the class, you don't feel like every eyeball is on you. When you are, building the thing, you're not like constantly cut and constantly messing yourself up and always having to like it's just so much more work. Like when you're within your talent, you're in your ability, there's a level of comfort that comes to you, in that it's even kind of like your happy place too. Like there's some people, they like organizing so much that when they get stressed out, they will go and rearrange all their books. They'll go rearrange an entire room, because for them, organization comes naturally and it's comfortable and it makes them happy. Other people would rather gouge out their eyes than have to organize their shelves, right? They don't like it. It just feels bad. And so when you're in that area of talent, it's something that you enjoy. It's happy. You're happy that you're doing it. For me, I love teaching. I love talking about this kind of stuff. It's my favorite place to be. I will walk away from this stream feeling like $1 million because I got a chance that Angie had an issue and we're able to talk about it, that other people thought it was cool. And then I'm like, that's great. Whereas with games here's an example. With some of these games, I will get up and I'll just feel bad. I'll feel bad when playing. I'll feel bad when doing it, because it's not making me happy. It's not easy. It's not natural. It's not something I'm satisfied or intuitive with. I'm fighting my way through it, and then afterwards, I'm more tired having played that game than I was teaching for an hour and a half. Right? That's it makes you feel comfortable. Is it easy? Not always. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's emotional. Like if you're good at counseling, or you're good at like sitting with people who are going through a hard time, or you're giving advice to somebody that is going through a really bad way, or the organization is really, really bad. You're like helping out a hoarder, things like that. Is it always super fun? No. Is it hard work and sweaty and gross sometimes? Yeah. But your sense while doing it isn't that you don't belong. It is, this is where I belong, right? This is where I should be. You kind of hit that flow state. You know what I mean? Where it's just, you're just doing it. You're just vibing, even though it's coming out of you, and it's comfortable. Though I really believe the Holy Spirit planted the gift of exhortation, especially when I'm in the season where all processing is on my shoulder. Exhortation, like encouraging people. Sure. Last word. First, it's intuitive, satisfied, productive, natural, comfortable, and where you are most influential. Influential. Jedi says, I find most games pretty simple, which is ironic because Stellaris, isn't it? No, it's not. So that was the first game somebody bought me for stream. My good friend, who is very smart, he handed me Stellaris. And he bought the DLC too. And I looked at it and I'm like, brother, I'm not smart enough for this. What are you doing? It's just all lists. It's all numbers. It's like little tiny things and zooming and what are you doing, man? You're trying to kill me? Right? So yeah, that was that. Yeah. Okay, last one. How do you know what your gift is? Intuitive, satisfied, productive, natural, comfortable, influential. Influential. When you do it, people notice and lives are changed. Okay? When you do it, people notice, lives are changed. People say things like, wow, that was really good. Thank you for doing that. Wow, you really did a good job. You know, could you do that again? Could you come back? I'd really like you to be on my team this time. I'd really like you to help out over here. Maybe you could go talk to my friend. You know, it's influential. You are things and people change when you're doing it. The opposite of which is no matter how hard you try, you keep banging your head against the thing. Nobody notices, nobody cares, and nobody's life has changed. They go, thank you, and you hear nothing back at all, right? But when you're in your natural talent, when you are walking through the gift, whether it be again spiritual, natural, or learned, it is something that when you do it, lives improve. You're whether it be administration or it be teaching or it be exhortation is a good example. Right? Some people can be encouraging, right? Just it comes naturally to them, they're encouraging, and other people walk out, man, let's get that person back here. They are great. Let's have them around. I feel better having talked to them. And other people will say nice things, and it's just thanks, and then it doesn't change anything. But some people's lives are changed when an exhorter says something like that to them. It's influential. So to answer your question, this is Angie, but all of us who hit, or anybody who hit 0, when you're looking for your gift, right? You look for that thing in your life. This is assuming. Remember, you're looking for the need. You're already serving. You're trying out some stuff. You're serving in your community. You're serving in your church. You're serving in your family. You're hanging out with your friends. You're trying stuff. You're doing things. You are doing your devos, right? You are doing your devos. You are doing your, you're hanging out. You're worshiping. Like you're doing what you're supposed to do. The ordinary means of grace. You're doing them. That's assumed. And as you're doing them, you bump into some stuff, and your heart feels that need. You get that passion to do something. You want to do something, and when you show up and you ask, "What am I supposed to do?" the answer is the thing that comes most intuitively to you, that makes you the most satisfied, where you're the most productive, that comes naturally, that brings you a sense of comfort and other people a sense of comfort, and where you're actually influencing. Things actually change. What is that? And you have to be careful, because there's going to be part of you that wants something that isn't yours. The greatest example is, like I want to be a pastor, in my mind anyway. There are a lot of people who want to be a pastor, but not because they're good at pastoring or they should be a pastor or they're talented at it or anything. They just feel like that's where God wants. That's like peak God, thing. If I'm going to follow God, I got to be a pastor or I got to be a missionary. There are people who, like that want to do that because of their pride. They want to be on stage, or because they're jealous or they're angry, and they like, oh, I don't like anybody and everybody should listen to me. And so that's why they try to become a pastor. Like, it's not from a place of gifting and talent and calling. But so they're in the wrong spot, even though it's like they're trying for something that, they think is good, right? They think is good. But they should be somewhere else, because that would be a much better place for them. Funky said, I know a lot of young guys who were called to the ministry and assumed that meant being a pastor. Exactly. That's exactly it, right? And this is the same chat I try to have with content creators, right? Maybe you're not called to have the microphone. Maybe you're not supposed to be the one in front of the camera. Maybe you're supposed to be helping the person in front of the camera because you love editing, or you love art, or you love design, or you have lots of good ideas, or you love tech, or you are really good at communication. So you should be in the Discord. Maybe you're good at advertising. Maybe you're good at making the phone calls and drawing people in. Maybe you're good at follow-up. Like, maybe you love whatever it is, but because you want to serve in digital ministry, your assumption is, I should stream, I should be a YouTuber, I should be, whatever. And it's like, God isn't calling you to be in front of the mic. God is calling you to serve a group. Here's like 5, 6, 7 people who are able to blow the doors off of the world, because each is serving each other within their area of gifting and influence, right? The one who is leadership, the one who is communicative, the one who is advertising, the one who is pastoring the Discord, the one who is being interesting and funny and entertaining on stream, the one who is knowledgeable. Like, you have now all these guys are together, and they've created a team that is just blowing minds because they're all doing what God called them to do within their area of gifting. But when you have somebody, say in the area of content creation, that believes that they need to be the streamer, they need to be the creator, they need to be on camera because that's what you're supposed to do, and it's not intuitive, and it's not satisfying, it's not natural, it's not productive, they look uncomfortable, and it's not actually influencing anybody, then maybe you should consider that's not where you're supposed to be. You'd be more satisfied, more natural, more comfortable not on camera, but serving somewhere else, right?